Which one should you buy? The Nintendo Switch 2 or the Steam Deck OLED? I will be judging them on the handheld experience only, and I will break it down to comfort, games, battery life, price, performance, menus, and finally my verdict. I hope you enjoy this video, and I will definitely try to be as honest as I possibly can. Now, the Nintendo Switch 2 is pretty much a brand new console, and the Steam Deck is actually some years old already, but I think they can definitely be compared up against each other. And getting to a final verdict is not as easy as it seems. These machines are expensive. What if you can only buy one of them? Well, I'm gonna help you out with that one. I'm gonna start off this video by telling you about the comfort of these machines, handheld wise. Let me start with the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is terrible to hold when you hold it naked. It is way too thin. There's no actual grip to hold on to. My hands are cramping up. It feels weird. I cannot play on a naked Switch. So already, I gotta say, you gotta have some sort of grip to enhance that. But how is the comfort once you have installed some sort of grip? I wanna say it fits my hands perfectly. I am reaching everything with my small hands problem. The analog sticks are way better than on the Switch 1 version. Actually, I go over a lot of Switch 2 first impressions and stuff in my video about the Switch 2 unboxing and first impression. Card in the corner. Check that out after this video. Tons of things has just improved. Bigger screen, bigger everything. I am very comfortable when I'm holding the Switch 2, but I wish the set R button was gradual, as they are on the Steam Deck. This video is sponsored by Harrison World, and I want to show you a cozy life sim game called Dragon Song Tavern. It is out now on early access on Steam, and it is also confirmed to come for the Nintendo Switch. This is a wholesome indie developed game where you run a tavern together with a dragon. And in Dragon Song Tavern, you plant and grow your own crops, you process your own cheese and wine, you cook dishes in the kitchen to then serve to your customers that are visiting your tavern. As you progress the game, your tavern's reputation increases, and you can also head over to town to talk with the villagers and purchase goods and ingredients to further advance your cooking. I am loving the fishing in this game. The fishing is extremely satisfying. I am trying to grow as much as I can, as you can see here, and you can also venture out with your boat to explore exotic places to gather even more materials and do some turn-based combat, actually. Dragon Song Tavern is currently today having a Steam sale. This Steam sale is lasting until the 10th of July. Click my link down below to check it out. A wholesome, cute game that you can play immediately on your Steam Deck, which is where I'm playing it. Thank you so much, Harrison World, for sponsoring this video. Now, on the Steam Deck, I have always said that I feel like the Steam Deck is about 10% too big for my hands. But again, with this grippier grip, it definitely has gotten easier. But holding it comfort-wise only, Switch 2 wins. With a grip installed, of course. Not the naked Switch. Without a grip installed, the Steam Deck wins. Now, games. Well, the library is huge on both consoles, and that is me being nice to the Switch 2, including all of the backwards compatible Switch 1 games to the Switch 2. That is me being nice. But the Switch 2 has very few Switch 2 improved games currently. It's a new console, barely any games that are dedicated for a Switch 2 right now. And I remember the exact same thing happened when the Switch 1 was released in 2017. For the first weeks, we had almost nothing to play other than the one exclusive that it dropped with. So for the Switch 2, right now, I feel like the only game that was built for the Switch 2 in mind to begin with, from the ground and up, is Mario Kart World. A lot of other games has just been ported to the Switch 2. And I have talked about how I feel about the ports so far on the Switch 2. I think they are poorly ported. And you can read in my comment section on my last video, the Rune Factory review. I'll talk more about my feelings in that video. Okay, so the games on the Steam Deck, it's the entire Steam library. Thousands and thousands and thousands of games. Not all of them are playing on the Steam Deck properly though, gotta say. But the two most recent games in my life, Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma and Fantasy Life, I have them on the Switch 2 and on the Steam Deck, and they both are better on the Steam Deck. They run better, they look sharper, they look just better. They are more enjoyable to play on the Steam Deck. And I have to be honest about that. And it's difficult to show that over video, what I mean. Because I feel like I need you right next to me, looking at both of these screens with your own eyes in real life in order to see what I mean. They look better on the Steam Deck. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. Now there is always one thing that will never be taken away from the Switch 2 and Nintendo in general, and those are the exclusive games. The Zeldas, the Marios, not even to mention the Switch Online service, which has all of my childhood currently. You know, all of the N64 games, all of the Game Boy Advance games, Game Boy Color, Game Boy, NES, SNES, and now even GameCube. Not many games released yet on the GameCube side of things, but they are coming. And this library of Switch Online games is something that no one can take away from the Switch. You could always emulate, but I don't emulate. So in that regard, if you want to play all of these retro games, the Switch 2 is superior, and first-party Nintendo games are unique. There's no denying that. But currently, like fully released AAA Nintendo first-party exclusive game is only Mario Kart World. But I am looking forward to checking out Bonanza, and we also have some upcoming announcements like Metroid. Something new is going to be added to Kirby's Forgotten Land. So I mean, it's really early to judge the library of games on a newly dropped console. That is not fair to the Nintendo Switch 2. It's gonna be better in this section later, but currently, like library of games wise, the Steam Deck wins this section. Now battery life. Do you wanna know what I wrote in my notes? I wrote, they both suck. But I think that is too unprofessional to say. They are very similar in battery. They both can last about 2 to 8 hours, depending on the game and how demanding it is. And also your screen light and all of that stuff. They feel very similar battery-wise, but I'm playing mostly next to a charger anyway. It doesn't really matter that much. So in this section, it's a draw. Okay, price. Do you want to know what I wrote in my notes under price? I think you can guess. It's the same as the last point. But I had to ask my Discord members, how much does these machines cost in the United States? The Nintendo Switch 2, you said, is currently at 450 United States dollars. And the Steam Deck OLED was at 550 USD. But you could also get the Steam Deck LCD, but I don't recommend that. If you don't have a Steam Deck, don't go for the LCD version. Go for the OLED. But that one is apparently cheaper than the Switch 2. But in Norway, on the other hand, the Nintendo Switch 2 is 750 US dollars. And the Steam Deck OLED 512 version goes for $950. I bought mine secondhand. For $750. So price-wise, they both suck, but the Nintendo Switch 2 is cheaper. So Nintendo Switch 2 wins this section. Performance. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest and say I don't know, because the only game that I have seen that is a Switch 2 exclusive game drawing the full potential of the console, that is Mario Kart World. And it looks really, really freaking good. It does. But I don't have enough information. I need to see more first-party Nintendo games built for the Switch 2, not on the Switch 1 with just a graphical upgrade. That's something different, I feel like. So the only game that I can judge is Mario Kart World, which looks really freaking good. Performance on the Steam Deck, I can judge it according to the games that I have. Fantasy Life and Guardians of Zuma, and you know how I feel about that. They run so much better on the Steam Deck OLED. So this section, I don't know. Okay, menus. The menus of the Switch 2 is very similar to the Switch 1's menus. I was low-key hoping for new menus, but I guess they work. I am, however, happy to see that I can still group my games in cute little groups. I made this group, which is like Switch 2 exclusive games plus upgrades, and there's not a lot in this folder, as you can see. The menus on the Steam Deck, I feel like they are very good. You have a lot of things that you can customize for your play experience. Also, you have this social media-ish aspect, which is the Steam profile, and friends and messaging and all of that stuff. You cannot instant message on the Switch 2, but you can on the Steam Deck. It's more social, I think. But I mean, you do have game chat, which is a new thing on the Switch 2. But I'm gonna be honest, if I play a game with someone online, we are talking over Discord anyway. So that doesn't matter to me. Menus within both machines are good, but I have to admit that I enjoy playing games with achievements. I enjoy having achievements, which the Nintendo is probably never gonna get ever. Like proper achievements. I feel like the Switch 2 is more for kids and the Steam Deck is more for adults. I'm gonna go Steam Deck. Steam Deck wins on the menu side. Okay, verdict. So which one should you get? I'm gonna say go for the Nintendo Switch 2 if you wanna play all of the exclusive Nintendo Switch 2 games, and there are gonna be a lot of them in the coming years. There's gonna be Pokemon Legends, Kirby, Donkey Kong, Mario, Zelda games. Also, you have that massive Switch Online library of your entire childhood, if you had a good one. And on the other hand, if you are a PC gamer but also want to play a lot of your PC games in handheld and kick back on your couch and stuff, or bring it with you outside of the door when you're outside touching grass, then the Steam Deck is superb. From now on, I will play exclusive games on the Nintendo Switch 2 and I will play everything else on the Steam Deck. And I'm happy with this decision. Now, I did go on Discord to ask you guys what you think, and some of your quick answers are: Ridiculous says, I'm gonna go with the deck. I think the Switch 2 is awesome technically speaking, but when it comes to game prices and the versatility of the deck, the thing can even do emulation and is also a PC. Steam Deck wins hands down for me. The OLED Steam Deck might be a higher starting price, but with the game sales and everything it can do, I think it is just unmatched. Next Level Mikey says, I'd recommend the Steam Deck because of the massive game library, but the Switch 2 is very comfortable and feels lighter than the Steam Deck. Better for playing longer periods of time. I can stand behind this comment. Methrail says, Steam Deck, while the Switch 2 may have tons of proprietary games and the hardware upgrade is substantial, the library on Steam is absolutely incredible. Yes. Bruno says, I have both Switch 1 OLED and 2 and also the Steam Deck. And my answer should be, it depends entirely on what you want to play. That's the best answer. If you are a huge Nintendo fan and love the main franchises, and Mario and Zelda and Animal Crossing, then you should go for it. Steam Deck is cool, but keep in mind, not all Steam library will work for it. So in conclusion, there is no right or wrong, it depends on the things you want to play, basically. Now join my Discord down below for more of those answers. There were a ton more answers, I only read a few of them. Link down below to my Discord. Now I wanna have a war in the comment section. Have a civilized conversation down below. I am looking forward to the future of the Nintendo Switch 2. It is actually too early. Maybe I will make a video like this in 2 years' time. See you in 2 years and I will compare them then. Thank you so much to Harrison World for sponsoring this video, and check out the Dragon Song Tavern down below. Cute game. On sale right now. Also coming for the Switch. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please hit like on it. And also watch my other videos. I dropped a review of Fantasy Life and Rune Factory Guardians of Izuma. And also the unboxing of the Switch. Those are my most recent videos. Check them out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.